Hi, Brian McAboy here with Inside Out Trading. Today we're going to talk about comfort zones and a couple of aspects of comfort zones that are really critical to your bottom line. There's actually three different aspects of comfort zones that traders easily overlook or neglect, and it costs them big time. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So what are comfort zones? Comfort zones are, situations where your emotions are calm. By definition, that's what a comfort zone is. It's where emotionally you're calm, you feel safe, you're relaxed, there are no threats, you feel secure, and you're safe. Hence, comfort zones. You're comfortable here. Now, so many traders, the way they're trading, they're outside their comfort zones. Maybe it's a trade size, maybe it's their skill level, maybe they don't have a great system, maybe their strategy is sketchy, maybe they just there are a whole pile of reasons why you might not be feeling real comfortable. It could be the anxiety of, the uncertainty of the markets. It could be, what happened last week, the last big, whoops you had, it cost you $5,000. There are a number of things that can have you outside your comfort zones. And the thing is, there's so much talk about, controlling your emotions and staying disciplined, where basically all the talk about discipline is, overriding your emotions to do the right thing. Well, here's the thing. Your emotions are there to tell you, they're there for your purpose. You have emotions for a reason, and they're there to help protect you. And you have comfort zones that let you know where you're safe and where you can relax, and you can use the logical, thinking part of your brain to make good decisions. Well, if you're trading outside your comfort zones, whatever the reason you might be outside those comfort zones might be, if you're outside your comfort zones, by definition, you are in an emotional state. And so trying to force, your emotions to turn off or overcome them or, suppress them or any of that kind of stuff, you're setting yourself up for a battle, and it's going to take energy, and it's one which you're just likely to lose eventually. Anytime we're relying on a willpower, it's just going to fail us sooner or later. We just run out of willpower, and we wind up, not having the energy to continue the fight with our emotions. This is true of trading and all kinds of other, goal pursuits. Why do you think, New Year's resolutions fail so badly? Because they're riding on willpower, and you just sooner or later you run out unless you really get it, dialed in where you can recharge that willpower battery all the time and keep it up where it's sufficient. Sooner or later, it's going to let you down. So first thing to note about comfort zones is, yes, you want to be trading within your comfort zones. Now, everybody say, well, you want to stretch, you need to stretch. Not when you're trading. You don't want to be trading in an emotional state. You don't. It does not lend itself to making good decisions and realizing consistent profits where you're not making mistakes. If you're in an emotional state, you're just asking for those emotions to influence your decision making, to prompt you into doing things that you regret later, things that cause you to miss out on profits, things that cause you to lose money. That's where your emotions are saying, hey, there's something wrong here. We're not comfortable. And the thing is, you need to be comfortable when you're trading. You do. You need to have a solid strategy that you fully believe in, and it works. And you have a really good process so that you know how to execute it consistently. Because heck, if you got a good strategy, you want to be able to execute it over and over and over again correctly. Well, you got to have a good process for that. And unfortunately, a rules-based strategy is one step in that direction, but a rules-based strategy is not necessarily, and usually is not, a really highly repeatable process. Now, I can say this, I'm a quality engineer. Quality assurance is built on consistent performance. And so I can tell you right now, most systems that traders are working with, and I actually ran the numbers a while back, it was like 98%. It was like only 1 out of 50 traders that came to me had a really, really good, highly repeatable, easy to execute process. They had a rules-based strategy, or, well, not always. Sometimes it just had a mess or an idea for a strategy. But even when you got a rules-based strategy, there are over 14 characteristics that make for a really highly repeatable process. And the thing is, when you have a good, solid strategy, you understand it, you know why it should work, and you've built a really solid process on it, and you've tested it, that's when you know it works. And that's the kind of knowing that will let your emotions calm down. That's the kind of knowing that will let you have a comfort zone so that you're not trading with that anxiety, that nervousness, or that fear. So, super important. You have to take care of like the basics, have a sound strategy that agrees with you, and having the right strategy for you also, is a big factor. Everybody knows that. You can't be trying to trade somebody else's strategy if there's any kind of inherent internal conflicts with your thoughts and beliefs or views on the market. It just sooner or later it's going to that internal conflict is likely to cause you problems and probably some self-sabotage. Anyway, back to comfort zones. How do you build a good comfort zone? Well, like I said, you take care of the basics. Make sure you have a good, solid strategy. Make sure you build a really good, solid, highly repeatable, easy to execute process on it. You test it out, and you test it out the right way. You don't just say, oh, yeah, I tested it last week and it worked. Or, I tested it over the last 100,000 years and, it worked. No. When it comes to testing, again, being a quality engineer, there's a right way to go about testing so that you can have confidence in what, the results that the test gives you, and that confidence you can take into your trading. That confidence, again, when you have true confidence from knowing, your emotions stay calm. You can make good decisions. Something goes wrong, market goes the wrong way, whatever, the uncertainty, it doesn't trigger your emotions and cause you to do big mistakes. Okay. So how do you stretch your comfort zones? Well, a great way to do it, first of all, like I said, is, okay, I'm outside my comfort zones. What am I uncomfortable with? What do I need to address? So here, we're not necessarily stretching your comfort zones, we're expanding them. Better way to look at it. We don't want to stretch them. We don't want to be fighting against them. We want to stretch them and we want to expand them in a very healthy and constructive manner that's not going to have us losing money with bad trades and mistakes, in the process. There's no point in it. You don't have to. You can either grow through mistakes and losses and the school of hard knocks, or you can do it very intentionally with a process, a methodology to get you there. So if you find, your emotions are a problem with your trading, understand it's because you're outside your comfort zones. There's something going on that has you not really fully comfortable with your strategy, yourself, the markets, all that kind of stuff. When you've got your house in order, so to speak, we can go to the markets and relax because we know that we are properly equipped to deal with whatever happens. The market moves, it doesn't, the news, Trump, whatever. It doesn't matter what happens because we're fully equipped to deal with it, both technically and emotionally, skill-wise, the whole 9 yards. That's when you have a really nice, broad comfort zone where, yeah, we can do a lot and we're very comfortable doing it. Now, to give you a little metaphor that you can relate to. Just like your day job. Your day job is probably fairly sophisticated, not an entry-level job, but you handle it every day just fine because you are properly equipped for your job. If somebody else just off the street walked in and tried to do your job, they would be stressed out. They'd probably be making a lot of mistakes. Even if they were pretty smart, they'd still be having a rough time, and there's no way they could avoid it being an emotional experience just because it's rough. They're not properly equipped. So what you need to do is identify the gaps in what you got going on so that you have that confidence, you have that knowing where your emotions aren't a problem. That's when the fight ends with your emotions. It's when you don't fight them, you don't suppress them, you don't trick them into turning off. You actually listen to them, let them tell you, okay, this is what you need to address. And you go fix it. Now things are working. Now you're comfortable going into the markets because you know you're okay. That's really cool. And that's where you want to have your comfort zones. Okay, so I hope this has been helpful. If you'd like to talk about this further, swing by insideouttrading.com. Book a call with me. We can talk about what's going on with your trading, what you've been experiencing, what's been holding you back, what's been, causing you a lot of heartache and grief. And we'll figure out a best path forward to get you past all that and get your trading working right. If you found this video helpful, give me a like down below, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends. And if you got a comment or a question, leave it in the comments down below. Anyway, again, I hope this has been helpful. Talk to you soon. Cheers.